It started with a letter. Late one Tuesday evening, Representative Jasmine Crockett was reviewing a stack of committee documents in her Capitol Hill office when her chief of staff, Darnell, walked in holding a thick envelope marked, "Urgent, Legal Notice." Crockett raised an eyebrow. From who? Darnell didn't even blink. Elon Musk. Personally signed. Inside was a cease and desist letter, formal, aggressive, and packed with veiled threats. Musk accused Crockett of knowingly spreading defamatory statements about his alleged political interference through his social media platform, X. He demanded a public retraction, a formal apology, and promised legal action within 10 business days if she refused. Jasmine leaned back in her chair, unimpressed. He wants to play courtroom roulette with a sitting member of Congress. Cute. What Musk hadn't anticipated, however, was who Crockett would call next. By Thursday morning, news of the letter had leaked, and so had the name of the attorney now representing her, Celeste Morgan, a former federal prosecutor known for dismantling billionaire legal teams like chess pieces on a board. And Celeste had already fired back. "If Mr. Musk is ready for court, we'll be waiting, with receipts. Lots of them." The tone was calm. The message was not. Elon had picked the wrong fight. By Friday morning, the legal standoff had erupted across every major media outlet. CNN, MSNBC, even Fox News couldn't resist the headline clash: Musk versus Crockett, billionaire threatens lawsuit, but her lawyer hits back hard. But behind the scenes, the real fireworks had just begun. At Tesla HQ in Austin, Elon Musk paced his office, phone in hand, frustration in his voice. "She brought in Celeste Morgan," he barked into the speakerphone. "Are you serious?" His legal counsel on the other end hesitated. "She's formidable. Former DOJ. She's gone up against tech CEOs before and won." Musk's jaw tightened. "I don't care. She doesn't scare me." But the cracks were showing. Celeste wasn't just any lawyer. She was known for methodical takedowns, polished in courtrooms, ruthless in discovery. And she'd already filed a Freedom of Information Act request demanding internal documents from Musk's platform regarding political censorship algorithms and shadow bans. In D.C., Celeste held a press conference outside the Capitol. Calm. Controlled. Brutal. "My client will not be intimidated by billionaires with bruised egos and too much bandwidth. If Mr. Musk wants a legal battle, we'll make sure the public gets front row seats." The reporters erupted. Cameras flashed. Tweets went viral. Musk fired back online, of course, posting, "These people think they can silence me. I have the facts. See you in court." But in legal circles, the shift was obvious. For the first time in a long time, Elon Musk wasn't leading the narrative, he was reacting to it. And Jasmine Crockett? She hadn't even broken a sweat. That weekend, while Musk's legal team scrambled to prepare a formal complaint, Celeste Morgan made her next move, one that blindsided the billionaire completely. At 9:42 a.m. on Sunday, Politico published an exclusive, leaked internal memos reveal Elon Musk's platform coordinated with political operatives to suppress content. The documents, obtained by Morgan's legal team through an anonymous whistleblower, appeared to show direct Slack conversations between senior ex-employees and unnamed political consultants discussing content flagging, topic throttling, and even accounts linked to sitting members of Congress, including Jasmine Crockett. The files weren't definitive yet. But the implication was nuclear. By noon, hashtags like #MuskCoverUp and #FreeSpeechFraud were trending. Congressional Democrats were demanding hearings. Independents were calling for investigation. Even some Republicans started to distance themselves from Musk, unsure of what else might surface. Back in Texas, Musk was livid. He posted on X, "These are fake. Total fabrication. This is political warfare disguised as lawfare. We will sue for defamation." But his words were starting to sound less like power, and more like panic. Meanwhile, in a Sunday interview with MSNBC, Celeste remained poised. "We didn't create these documents. We simply received them. And if Mr. Musk believes they're fake, I invite him to prove it, under oath." And then she smiled. Just barely. Behind that smile was a warning: there's more. Elon Musk had launched a legal threat. But now, he was the one trying to outrun a tidal wave. And Jasmine Crockett? She hadn't said a word publicly. She didn't need to. On Monday morning, the halls of Congress were buzzing. Journalists gathered outside Committee Room 2141, the same chamber where Rep. Jasmine Crockett was scheduled to speak during a subcommittee hearing on tech and accountability. Cameras were everywhere. Microphones stretched like vines. Everyone expected fireworks. Instead, Crockett walked in calmly, said nothing to the press, and delivered a sharp, methodical line of questioning to a completely unrelated witness. She didn't even acknowledge the storm swirling around her name. And that silence? It was louder than any speech. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, Celeste Morgan had filed a formal counternotice with Musk's attorneys, a preemptive legal move asserting that any lawsuit Musk filed would be met with a counterclaim for malicious prosecution and abuse of process. But that wasn't the real dagger. Included in the counternotice was a new exhibit, a sealed affidavit from a former ex-executive. A name no one expected. Isaiah Teller. Former trust safety lead. Recently terminated. Disgruntled, but credible. And according to the affidavit, Teller had attended a virtual meeting in which Musk personally approved visibility filtering for multiple political accounts, including Crockett's. The moment that hit legal blogs, Wall Street noticed. Tesla stock dropped 3%. SpaceX investors started making quiet calls. Advertisers paused campaigns on X. Back at Musk's HQ, his inner circle urged him to pull back, settle, apologize, make it go away. But Elon Musk doesn't retreat. He tweets. "They think this is a game. I'll bury them in court. Crockett and her lawyer will regret this." But for the first time in this clash, the threats didn't land. And in the background, Jasmine Crockett finally made a move of her own. She posted one sentence on her personal account, accompanied by a calm photo of her sipping tea: "We don't blink." By Tuesday, the narrative had fully flipped. Elon Musk's threat of a lawsuit had been meant to intimidate. Instead, it had unearthed a flood of scrutiny he could no longer control. Celeste Morgan, cool as ever, filed a motion requesting a federal court pre-hearing to clarify Musk's intent to pursue litigation in light of mounting evidence of retaliatory targeting. Translation: she was daring him to follow through, on record, under oath. The media went into overdrive. Analysts debated whether Musk was bluffing or digging himself deeper. Legal experts called Morgan's play surgical. And Crockett's approval ratings began climbing, particularly among younger voters who saw her as a fighter standing up to billionaire overreach. But the most devastating moment came from the affidavit's hidden bombshell. Isaiah Teller had also provided screen recordings, internal dashboard footage showing throttled congressional accounts. In one file, the platform's back-end interface clearly labeled Jasmine Crockett's profile as Watch List Level 3, Limit Exposure. And the timestamp? Just 2 weeks after she criticized Musk during a televised hearing on tech monopolies. That video went viral in under an hour. Celeste responded with only one sentence to the press: "Intent is no longer speculative." That afternoon, Musk convened an emergency meeting with his crisis PR team. He was no longer focused on the lawsuit. He was focused on survival. One of his advisors warned him bluntly, "You're not suing a politician anymore. You're up against public trust, and a lawyer who smells blood." Elon didn't answer. He just stared at the screen in front of him, watching Jasmine Crockett's post climb to 20 million views. And for the first time, he looked unsure. By Wednesday morning, Musk's inner circle was cracking. An off-the-record source from Inside X revealed to Reuters that Musk had called an emergency closed-door strategy session late into the night. The goal: assess the legal damage, assess the PR fallout, and most urgently, find an off-ramp. He wants it gone, the source said bluntly. He's not used to being outmaneuvered like this. But Celeste Morgan wasn't letting up. That same morning, she filed a preliminary injunction request, demanding Musk's platform unflag and fully restore the visibility of Jasmine Crockett's account and any others affected by the alleged watch list. It was a power move. A very public one. And in court filings, Morgan attached one more surprise: redacted emails between Musk and a high-level political donor, discussing how certain loud voices in the House needed less oxygen. Though the donor's name was hidden, the implication was enough to set off alarms throughout Washington. Suddenly, politicians who had once stood behind Musk began backing away. Republicans who had praised his free speech vision fell silent. Centrists started questioning whether there was a deeper agenda behind his acquisitions. Democratic leadership began drafting requests for oversight hearings. And Jasmine Crockett? She stayed quiet. Composed. Calculated. But her silence was now strategic and unnerving. That afternoon, a reporter caught Celeste Morgan outside the D.C. District Court and asked, "Is Musk still planning to sue your client?" Celeste didn't miss a beat. She smiled, and replied, "If he was, he'd have done it by now." The cameras flashed again. The pressure mounted. And somewhere in Austin, Elon Musk sat alone in his office, dozens of unread messages on his screen, and one clear realization sinking in: this wasn't about defamation anymore. It was about exposure. The turning point came quietly. No tweets. No press releases. Just a discreet email, timestamped 2:14 a.m., sent from Musk's personal legal team to Celeste Morgan's office. The subject line was simple: proposal for mutual resolution, confidential. In it, Musk's lawyers suggested a private dialogue to resolve the matter without further litigation or media escalation. They asked for a temporary pause in public filings. They hinted at a willingness to clarify previous language and, most tellingly, discuss financial settlement options. The message was desperate. Thinly veiled. Celeste's team didn't respond. Not right away. Instead, that morning, they submitted a new court filing, a request for discovery access to internal Slack logs, communications between Musk and ex-board members, and back-end moderation data for a dozen congressional accounts. It was a shot across the bow. A warning: you wanted court. You're getting court. When the press inevitably got wind of the email leak later that day, the headlines were devastating: Musk backs down quietly, seeks settlement after Crockett's legal blitz, from threat to retreat. Musk's legal team reaches out behind the scenes. Online, memes exploded. One viral post showed Musk holding a sue card from a Monopoly game, with Celeste flipping the whole board over. And Jasmine Crockett? She posted one simple image: her walking into the Capitol, briefcase in hand, flanked by Celeste and two staffers. Caption: no deals. Just facts. Behind closed doors, Musk was now doing the one thing he swore he'd never do: pleading. Not in court. But in back channels. And still, no one from Crockett's team was blinking. By Thursday evening, Elon Musk's grip on the narrative was in full collapse. Cable news hosts, once eager to defend his free speech crusade, were now openly questioning his motives. A 60-minute segment previewed an upcoming exposé titled, "Behind the Filter, Inside Musk's Political Blacklist." Even former allies like Joe Rogan and high-profile podcasters began walking back support. Meanwhile, Celeste Morgan was everywhere, cool, sharp, commanding interviews with a deliberate cadence that made legal jargon sound like poetry. On CNN, she put it bluntly: this was never about free speech. This was about silencing an elected official who challenged power. And now that power is backpedaling. Across the country, Jasmine Crockett's followers exploded in number. Donations to her re-election campaign surged. She hadn't posted anything new, she didn't need to. Every network was replaying her silence, her composure, her refusal to flinch. Then came the real gut punch. A joint statement from two former board members of X, released late Friday night, confirmed that discussions around visibility limitation on federal politicians had, in fact, taken place. And that Elon Musk had expressly supported selective moderation to protect investor interests. That quote hit like a bullet. Senators from both parties began drafting a bipartisan oversight letter calling for Musk to testify before Congress. The DOJ announced it was monitoring the situation closely. And inside X headquarters, senior staff began resigning, quietly, but not unnoticed. Elon Musk tried once more to pivot. He posted a vague tweet, "In time, all truth comes out. People will see." But the replies were brutal. One user wrote, "You started with a lawsuit. You ended with a plea." Another, "You poked the wrong lawyer." And beneath it all, Jasmine Crockett finally posted again, just 3 words, "We're not done." Monday morning in Washington felt different. The Capitol was buzzing not with typical bureaucracy, but with momentum. The House Oversight Committee had officially scheduled a hearing for the following week, Big Tech Accountability and Political Suppression, a closer look at X Corporation. And the witness list? Topped by one name, Elon Musk. He hadn't confirmed attendance, yet. But congressional sources said subpoenas were already being drafted, just in case. Inside Musk's camp, panic was no longer whispered, it was shouted. His legal team advised him to avoid testifying at all costs. His PR team warned that backing out would make him look guilty. His board demanded damage control, or resignation. And Celeste Morgan? She responded with a new legal filing that morning, a formal motion to depose Elon Musk. Not in public. Not on television. Under oath, behind closed doors. The motion cited direct contradictions between Musk's public statements and the evidence now submitted under seal. Internal moderation logs, text threads, email chains. And the final line of her filing sent chills through everyone who read it. This is no longer about what Mr. Musk said. It's about what he knew, and when he chose to silence others anyway. Meanwhile, Jasmine Crockett continued doing what she'd done from the beginning, her job. She sat in briefings. Voted on bills. Attended hearings. All without so much as a press statement. And that silence? It was now deafening. One reporter caught her in the hallway and asked, "Congresswoman, do you think Elon Musk will show up to testify?" Crockett paused for half a second, then replied, "He wanted a spotlight. Let's see if he can handle the heat." The clip went viral instantly. And somewhere in Austin, as the sun set behind a wall of legal paperwork, Elon Musk sat facing the very thing he tried to unleash on someone else, a legal war he could no longer win. The following Friday, in a high-security federal building just blocks from Capitol Hill, Elon Musk finally sat for his deposition. No cameras. No tweets. No curated stage. Just a plain room, a court reporter, and Celeste Morgan across from him, folders neatly stacked, every word deliberate. From the moment she began, it was clear, Musk wasn't prepared. She opened with questions about internal moderation tools. He deflected. She followed up with email chains, showing he'd signed off on visibility filters for accounts deemed politically disruptive. He hesitated. Then she dropped a time-stamped message, "Suppress Crockett. Too loud." Elon Musk, in a Slack message dated 2:17 a.m., 3 days after her viral tech hearing. There was no denying it. His signature. His words. Musk's attorneys objected. Celeste calmly overruled their panic with court precedent. The deposition continued. Every attempt to shift blame, on staff, algorithms, miscommunication, was answered with receipts, documents, and quiet precision. At one point, Musk whispered, this is a hit job." Celeste leaned in, eyes steady. "No, Mr. Musk. This is accountability." By the end of the 4-hour session, Musk looked exhausted, cornered, and, most shockingly, uncertain. Gone was the firebrand billionaire. In his place sat a man realizing he had lost the one thing he valued most: control. Later that day, a confidential source leaked part of the transcript to The Atlantic. One excerpt caught fire online. "Celeste, did you believe Congresswoman Crockett's criticism of your policies warranted targeting her account?" Musk, pause, "I didn't think it would go this far." It became a meme, a headline, a warning to every tech mogul watching. And Jasmine Crockett? She released her first full public statement since the ordeal began: "This was never about me. It was about the people's right to speak without fear of retribution from those in power, especially unelected ones." That night, news broke that X Corp's board had scheduled an emergency meeting to review Musk's leadership role. And somewhere in the silence of that fallout, a truth settled in: the man who vowed to sue had ended up testifying against himself. The board meeting was swift. In under 3 hours, Elon Musk was quietly removed as CEO of X Corporation. The announcement came via a sterile press release late Sunday night, just after midnight. No fanfare, no tweets. Effective immediately, the board has appointed interim leadership while it evaluates long-term strategic restructuring. "We thank Mr. Musk for his past contributions." Within minutes, the story swept across every outlet: Musk ousted after legal battle with Congresswoman Crockett spirals out of control. Back in D.C., Celeste Morgan stood on the Capitol steps before a sea of reporters. She didn't celebrate. She didn't gloat. She simply delivered a closing message that would echo for weeks: this wasn't about bringing someone down. It was about standing up, for truth, for transparency, and for the principle that no one, no matter how wealthy or powerful, is above accountability. As for Jasmine Crockett, she walked into Congress the next morning with the same quiet resolve she'd carried from the beginning. When a reporter asked what she'd say to Elon Musk now, she paused, then smiled faintly. "Nothing. I said what needed to be said by not backing down." And with that, she turned and disappeared behind the House chamber doors, her reputation elevated, her message clear. Across the nation, the saga left a lasting mark. Lawmakers pushed forward with new bipartisan legislation to limit corporate political suppression. Whistleblowers were emboldened. CEOs everywhere paid closer attention to the boundaries of power and speech. And Elon Musk? He faded from the center stage of political influence, a cautionary tale whispered in boardrooms and congressional briefings alike. He had threatened to sue. But in the end, he was the one left pleading, and the world had watched him fold.